In this fortnight's episode, we talk about what the Libertarian Party did at convention and why it matters. What's in the news with stories on legalized theft, stopping legalized theft, security theater, and Trump getting an important endorsement, and a herding cat segment on two events coming up soon that I will be speaking at.
Welcome to The Lava Flow, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Find us at thelavaflow.com. Here's your host, Roger Paxton.
Thank you for joining me this week. Coming to you from the state where some of comedian George Carlin's ashes were spread at Spofford Lake, this is the show that will bring you the people, places, and events that everyone in the Liberty Revolution needs to know. You can catch me on Twitter at the Lava Flow Pod. This is episode 38, the R.I.P. LP edition, and it's Tuesday, June 7th, 2016. When there have already been more than 435 people killed by police this year. What's wrestling my jimmies this week? You're about to find out. Let's do it to it. The Libertarian Party has poised itself to have its most success in the entire history of the party. Gary Johnson and William Weld received nominations from the Libertarian Party delegates in convention for president and vice president, respectively, both in the second round of voting. This will likely have a cascading effect of success for the party this year. The National LP has already seen membership and donations rise like it hasn't in years. The Johnson-Weld ticket will likely receive millions in donations and support from large PACs like the Purple PAC run by Ed Crane, who's already said that they're backing him now. Johnson will be included in more polls, and he will likely make the debates with Trump and Hillary. And I predict that Johnson will again receive more votes than any other LP presidential candidate in history. And this time, I believe he'll also have the highest percentage of votes as well, and by a large margin. I can see Johnson-Weld getting 3 to 5% or more in November. And all of these things are the worst things that could have ever possibly happened to the Libertarian Party. Let me explain. Many people are saying that this success will be good for the party in 2016, because then we can jump off of that success and nominate real libertarians in 2020. This is utter nonsense. Once people taste success doing something, do they completely change course after that looking for the same success? Of course not. When this ends up being the most successful LP campaign in history, the delegates in 2020 will double down and nominate more big names, likely more disgruntled Republicans instead of more libertarians. It's my opinion that the LP has reached a point of critical mass against the principles of the party that cannot be reversed. I believe the critical mass happened years ago, sometime between 2008 and 2013, and we're still seeing the results of it. As more and more disgruntled Republicans join the LP will begin to look more and more like the Republican Party, not like a Libertarian Party, and this has already begun. In 2008, Bob Barr, Republican drug warrior, was elected as the presidential nominee, with his running mate being Republican Wayne Allen Root. Where are Barr and Root today? They're both fully entrenched in the Republican Party again, with Bob Barr endorsing Newt Gingrich over Ron Paul for president in 2012, and Wayne Allen Root endorsing Donald Trump this year. In 2012, Republican and part-time Libertarian Gary Johnson jumped ship from the GOP to receive the nomination for LP president. He, of course, has now won again with another very recent convert from the Republican Party to the Libertarian Party, Bill Weld, who was a Libertarian Party member for a grand total of 15 days before he was nominated as vice president. The only good news about Weld's win is that he beat out Derek Grayson, who lost his Republican bid for U.S. Senate in Georgia a grand total of 5 days before the nominating convention. At what point does the Libertarian Party officially become Republican 2.0? I know there are many people who listen to this show who will not particularly enjoy this commentary, and I could possibly lose lots of listeners and some donors over this. But I have to speak my mind, or what is the point of doing this show in the first place? I submit that the Libertarian Party is already Republican 2.0, as evidenced by the top two presidential candidates of ours, Gary Johnson and Austin Peterson, both being endorsed by many high-level Republicans. And the fact that the grand total of days that two of our candidates for VP were members of the LP together was 20 days prior to them seeking the nomination. Less than 3 fucking weeks total between the two of them. There can be one thing said about a Johnson Weld being on the ballot in November. At least now there is a guarantee that a Republican will be on the ballot. As a friend of mine, Mike, said, quote, "You see, folks, a libertarian can't even get elected in the Libertarian Party." Sad but true, Mike. Sad but true. Why do I care so much? I've been asked by people here in New Hampshire. Just forget politics, they say. We're making real changes outside of the system. And of course, they are absolutely right. There has been more change and true freedom in New Hampshire outside of the system than there ever likely will be inside the system. But I have put my heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, thousands of hours, and thousands of dollars into the Libertarian Party over the last decade. And it is hard for me to see all of that work go for naught. I did this because I believed the Libertarian Party could be one of the vehicles that would help bring liberty to more people. I was wrong. I'm glad that I took the plunge for my family to move to another vehicle, namely the Free State Project, when I did. But I still do love the political process a great deal. I guess I'm just going to have to get over that. Look, I'm not going to lie. I wept when I realized that Weld was going to win the nomination. My wife and I were watching CNN Live during all of this, and when the first ballot came in that had him at just over 49%, I knew it was done. And I wept for the loss of all of that hard work and deep love and money that I put into the LP. If the Libertarian Party can nominate a gun-grabbing, eminent domain supporting, UN supporting, New York Libertarian Party fucking over, Patriot Act loving, universal mandate supporting, LP member for 15 days, Republican, as the vice president of the party of principle, then that party no longer has principle. And that hurts my heart. I feel betrayed because I feel the LP has betrayed its mission and its principles. And yes, Weld is all of those things that I mentioned. He doubled down 2 weekends ago on CNN about supporting guns for hunting purposes only. He supported the theft of property by eminent domain for the building of a sports stadium. And in 2005, he signed a letter to the U.S. Senate written by notorious neocon Frank Gaffney urging renewal of the USA Patriot Act. He said in a debate at the convention just a few days ago that he is fine with the U.S. being in the UN. And he even admitted on stage at the LP convention that he hadn't even read the LP's platform until after he became a member of the party, sometime within that 15-day period. And this guy got the nomination. Weld endorsed Obama in 2008, and he didn't even endorse Gary Johnson or Ron Paul in 2012, instead endorsing Romney. And this year, he also didn't endorse Johnson again. He endorsed Kasich, a man who screwed over the Ohio Libertarian Party. Of course, that makes sense, since Weld himself screwed over and lied to the New York Libertarian Party in 2006 about running as governor. And he was on the Greater Boston News Show in February of this year, supporting the universal mandate in Obamacare, saying, quote, "That just made common sense. I've always been in favor of the universal mandate." And finally, just a few days after winning the nomination, Weld was asked by the New York Times whether Hillary Clinton was a good Secretary of State. His single-word answer was, yes. I can't make this shit up. Why did the LP make this man its VP candidate? So the LP can get more money. So the LP can go on the welfare dole and get more money from the government and more money from donors. And so the LP can get more votes. But at what cost? At the cost of the soul of the party. The party's tagline for many years now has been the party of principle. That is, sadly, no longer the case. I mentioned at the beginning of this rant that a Johnson-Weld ticket is the worst thing that could ever have possibly happened to the Libertarian Party. But it's also pretty bad for libertarianism, small l, as a whole. For the next 5 months, Gary Johnson is going to be running around to every media outlet that he can saying that he and Weld are libertarian. And the average person doesn't understand the difference between being a big L libertarian and a small L libertarian, so this is going to confuse people into believing that Gary baked the fucking cake and banned the fucking burqa, Johnson, and Bill, Patriot Act, and eminent domain lover Weld are actually libertarians. This is not the case by any means. In his acceptance speech, Johnson said, quote, "Millions of people are going to be trying to understand what it is to be libertarian." And he's right. But sadly, I'm afraid that Johnson is one of them. Johnson has already been all over the news the last several days saying that libertarianism is fiscally conservative and socially liberal. And this is in fact not true. If we were fiscally conservative, we would call for pissing all of tax money to be spent on the military. If we were socially liberal, we would force people to bake the cake and shut down free speech and call for tax money to be spent on the poor. I talked about why libertarianism is not fiscally conservative and socially liberal way back in episode 8 of this show. You can listen to that episode at thelavaflow.com/8. This is truly bad for the libertarian movement as a whole. And people will say that there are very few of us who are libertarians from birth, that most of us came from somewhere to be a libertarian. So what's the big deal with nominating Republicans? I agree with part of this statement completely. I'm a former war-loving, immigrant-hating neocon turned libertarian a little over a decade ago, even though I flirted with the LP 2 decades ago. And when I joined the party, I wasn't a full-blown libertarian. I still had issues with some of the platform. When I became chairman of the Libertarian Party of Arkansas, though, I was 100-100 on the Nolan chart. I know the LP needs to be big tent to bring in people who are new to the philosophy and hopefully convert them to being more libertarian, like happened with me and many, many other libertarians that I helped in the LPAR. I fully support that mission. But I do not support putting men at the top of the ticket who are not libertarians and who are not becoming more libertarian. If anything, Johnson is less of a libertarian than he was 4 years ago. He didn't call for banning burqas in 2012. He didn't advocate for forcing people to do things against their will, such as baking cakes in 2012. He has done both this year. And Weld, while I fully support him joining the party and becoming a libertarian with us, he has absolutely no fucking business being on the top of the ticket until he has actually become a libertarian. Small L, of course. I mean, the day after Weld won the VP nomination, he was on CNN's New Day show saying, quote, "I would think a bunch of Republicans might view our brand of republicanism as quite palatable." Let me repeat that for you because it is that disgusting. Quote, "I would think a bunch of Republicans might view our brand of republicanism as quite palatable." There is nothing Republican about the Libertarian Party. There is nothing Republican about libertarianism. So the new VP candidate of the Libertarian Party is already making the case that Republicans need to vote for him because he is bringing them a palatable brand of republicanism as opposed to Donald Trump. Give me a fucking break. And before you say that he just misspoke, it's clearly not the case. The sentence before that was him making the case why Johnson and Weld are palatable to Sanders Democrats. So he was clearly making the case why both R's and D's should consider them. And on top of all of that, while I was at home watching the debates and seeing the straw polls coming in showing Johnson Weld ahead before the nominations, I was literally having discussions with members of the Libertarian Party on Facebook who said that bombing civilians, yes, civilians, is sometimes necessary and moral, including Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That we should start a ground war with ISIS, and that we should use force against peaceful people to find out if they're being paid to protest. These are Libertarian Party members saying this. I am becoming more and more convinced that the Libertarian Party is completely lost. To say that I'm disgusted with what I'm seeing the Libertarian Party become is an understatement. Big L libertarians, or at least the delegates in convention who voted Johnson Weld, have lost their goddamned minds. And yes, the LP has lost its goddamned mind. Call me a purist if you want. But if by pure you mean that I want to keep the Libertarian Party actually libertarian, then you are damn straight I'm a purist. And I wear that badge with honor. So what do I do about this on a personal level? I've been thinking very long and very hard about it. The way I see it, I only have a few options. I can double down, get active in national, which I have not been for a couple of years, and bust my ass working to get real libertarians back up on top. But I feel that this is futile for the reasons I mentioned earlier. I believe that once the party gets a little bit of success this year, they will get success happy and nominate more people like Johnson Weld going forward. Hell, I could even see Weld as the presidential nominee in 2020 at the current rate. Another option I have is to completely drop any participation in the Libertarian Party nationally and in the 2 states I'm a member of. Just completely be done with it all. My third option is to mix the first 2 options and remove myself from the areas of the party that I find philosophically defunct and stay in those that still see the LP as the party of principle and live by that. As my friend and fellow podcaster Tom Knapp said, and I paraphrase, just because the Libertarian Party decided to shit the bed does not mean that I want to wallow around in it with them. I know I cannot in good conscience support or vote for a statist Republican Gary Johnson Bill Weld ticket. That would go against my most basic moral principles. That will never happen. I know I cannot support the body who voted for that ticket either. I further know that I cannot be a part of an affiliate who voted for Johnson in a majority and gave a majority of votes to the 2 Republicans who had been libertarians for only 20 days collectively. Speaking of Weld and Grayson. The Libertarian Party did that on both ballots. I am a lifetime member of the Libertarian Party of Arkansas, even though I no longer live there. And I put my heart and my soul into that party, running for state representative twice winning the state's Standard Bearer of Liberty Award. I also worked myself nearly to death to bring the Libertarian Party full ballot access to the state of Arkansas for the first time in history. You can hear the whole story of my history with the Libertarian Party of Arkansas in episode 11 of this show at thelavaflow.com/11. With that being said, I will be instructing the Secretary of the Libertarian Party of Arkansas to remove my name from the rolls of the state party and to remove my name as a lifetime member. I will also be instructing the Secretary of the National Libertarian Party to remove my name as a member of that party as well. New Hampshire is one of only a small fraction of states who did not cast a single vote for Weld and who did not give Johnson a majority. For that and for many other reasons, I am very proud to be in this great state. I was asked to be a part of the state party by its chair and vice chair, and I joined the New Hampshire Libertarian Party just shortly after I moved here. I've also been asked by some libertarians in my county in New Hampshire to help form a county affiliate here, which I've agreed to do. We're actually set up to have our first bylaws meeting in the next couple of weeks to get that ball rolling. Since I can say that I am very proud of the way the LP of New Hampshire voted, it would not be fair or right for me to abandon them at all for something that they neither endorsed nor supported. New Hampshire's LP actually voted for principles, one of the few. And principles are why I joined the LP after all. It's just a shame that almost no other state did the same thing. And yes, many are going to say that I'm just pouting, that I'm just taking my ball and going home. And you're fucking right. 100%. But as a great document once said, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation. I have declared the causes that lead to this separation, and I stand behind them 100%. The Libertarian Party is dead. Long live the peaceful liberty revolution. Exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per episode donation of as little as $1 an episode, or use Bitcoin. Get exclusive content, rewards, and help the Lava Flow become fiscally neutral while providing you more content. thelavaflow.com/support.
What's in the news? The news you need to know from a libertarian perspective.
In security theater news, the TSA is so bad at their one job that Delta Airlines had to install its own ultra-efficient security checkpoints. To help alleviate long lines at Atlanta's airport, Delta spent more than $1 million to install a pair of new high-tech security lanes that can handle more passengers simultaneously. And these lanes are cool. obviously developed by a team of brilliant engineers. They're built to allow 5 passengers at a time to put all of their belongings into the large plastic bags for scanning instead of having to do it 1 passenger at a time. An automatic conveyor system then moves the bins along into the X-ray machine so the passengers don't have to wait around to push them through themselves. Bags that require further inspection are automatically rerouted to another area as they leave the X-ray scanner, so there's much less confusion as to which one needs to be opened. The new innovation lanes also automatically return empty bins back to the start of the line, so travelers aren't left standing around waiting for a TSA agent whose time could be spent better elsewhere to slowly stack and carry them back. Delta paid the full check for this at over $1 million and went from concept to startup in less than 2 months. It's expected to double the efficiency of every lane. So far, this is only in 2 lanes in Atlanta, but if this is successful, I expect they will be put in many other airports around the country. This is the free market at work, folks. Delta and all other airlines are being hurt badly by the inefficiencies of government, so they are stepping up to fix what the government has broken. In more legalized theft news, the socialist state of Illinois has stolen an estimated $72 million worth of seized property over the last 2 years, according to public records obtained by the state's ACLU chapter. The seizures by Illinois police include cars, guns, cash, PlayStations, a forklift, and even a statue of a Mexican folk saint. Only about $2,500 worth of forfeitures were reversed on appeal by circuit courts in the state, showing the scarcity of successful challenges to the asset forfeiture process. Quote, either police are getting all of these cases right, or there's serious deficiencies in challenging them, said Bryant Jackson Green, an analyst at the Illinois Policy Institute. I bet you can guess which one of those it really is. My guess is the police are not getting all of these cases right. One of the civil liberties advocates' biggest criticisms of asset forfeiture is that the proceeds are funneled directly back to the police departments and district attorneys, creating a perverse incentive for law enforcement to go fishing for seizures. Electronics are an especially popular target for seizures by law enforcement, and the Illinois police are no different. Flat-screen TVs, especially of the 50-inch and above variety, were common items, along with smartphones, iPads, digital cameras, laptops, video game system, and Beats by Dre. And just like any gang of thugs, they go for the expensive stuff, especially since they're getting a kickback on every single item that they steal. In stopping legalized theft news, the New Hampshire House of Representatives and Senate passed SB 522, which includes several very important reforms to the state's forfeiture laws. The bill makes key improvements to state law by requiring a criminal conviction or a plea agreement to forfeit an owner's property. It requires raising the standard of proof required to forfeit property to clear and convincing evidence. It shifts the burden of proof from innocent third-party property owners onto the state where it belongs, and it mandates that the Attorney General reports on how law enforcement agencies use retained forfeiture profits. Quote, civil forfeiture is one of the most serious assaults on due process and private property rights in America today, said Institute for Justice attorney Rob Bacola. The legislature's vote today means New Hampshire is closer to ensuring only convicted criminals and not the innocent lose their property to forfeiture. The bill now will go to Governor Maggie Hassan. If she signs it, New Hampshire would become the 11th state to require a criminal conviction as a prerequisite for most of all forfeiture cases. There is still more work to be done. Since New Hampshire participates in the equitable sharing program with the federal government, state agencies have routinely outsourced forfeiture litigation to the federal government. The next step that we need to do here in the state will be to have the state remove itself from that equitable sharing program. New Hampshire, it's like this too. In the best endorsement ever news, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea are supporting Donald Trump for president, calling him a wise and a far-sighted candidate. The editorial in the state-run newspaper said Trump could unify the Korean peninsula, and they favored his proposal to hold direct talks with leader Kim Jong-un. The editorial blasted Hillary Clinton as, quote, dull, and criticized her for, quote, adapting the Iranian model to resolve nuclear issues on the Korean peninsula. This makes North Korea only the second country in the world that showed support for Trump over Clinton. But I sense a bit of similarity here. The other country is Russia, so it seems that countries with strong dictatorial leaders support Trump. I can't imagine why. In some personal news, May was my biggest month yet. I had just over 6,100 downloads for the month of May. Keep in mind, of course, I did have 3 episodes in May due to my bonus episode on the Libertarian Party presidential candidates. However, even compared to my last month that had 3 episodes back in March, I still had an 11% increase in downloads. That's huge, and that's all due to you guys spreading the message for me. Thank you so much, guys, and keep it up. Have you subscribed to the Lava Flow on iTunes or any mobile device yet? Then what's wrong with you? Go to thelavaflow.com/subscribe so you don't miss a minute of the show. And while you're subscribing, make sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review the show to help others find our podcast. thelavaflow.com/subscribe.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done.
There are 2 awesome events coming up in New Hampshire in the next few months, and I will not only be attending both of these, but I'm going to be speaking at both of them. First, coming up June 19th through the 26th is the 13th Annual Porcupine Freedom Festival, better known as PorcFest, high in the mountains of New Hampshire. Tickets are still on sale, but the festival is coming up fast, so you better get your tickets now. Tickets for the full week cost only $75. You've got to check out the schedule for this event. It is packed completely full the whole week with all kinds of activities, including a full slate of activities for families and children. There are so many events planned for the week that they all had to break them up into categories such as activism, DIY, economics, education, parenting, entertainment, liberty as a lifestyle, making the move, music, philosophy, social, technology, and lots of others, including one that I'm really looking forward to. It's called the Atlas Philosophy Track, and it's a daily, sometimes multiple times a day, track put on by the Atlas Society on the philosophy of objectivism. And I have a small speaking slot on Wednesday at PorcFest as part of the New Movers panel. So if you're at PorcFest, make sure to come see me. You can get more information on this event at porcfest.com. It's PORC fest.com. Another fantastic event coming up in the Seacoast area of New Hampshire is the 3rd Annual Free Coast Festival in Portsmouth from September 16th to the 19th. Tickets are $25 for the entire weekend, minus the 3-hour cruise and keynote dinner. If you want to attend the keynote, those tickets are $125 each and include everything. The weekend will have events all over the Seacoast area. So if you're interested in moving to this part of the state, this is your best chance to see what makes the Free Coast the best place to live in New Hampshire. And I have a small speaking slot at this event as well. You don't want to miss it, because I will be unveiling a new project that I'll be working on for the first time ever. And if hearing me speak isn't enough for you, our keynote speaker will be YouTube commentator Julie Borowski. But I know you'll be coming to see me. I just thought I would mention her just in case you cared. For more information and to go buy your tickets, go to freecoast.org/festival. See you there. Thank you for listening to the show this week. As always, I need to thank my favorite extrovert, Jessica, for her help with this show. For the show notes to this episode, where I put links and other information that's been on this show, go to thelavaflow.com/38. I have no new reviews this week, coming off of my last episode where I had 5 new reviews. iTunes steers people to this podcast based on the number of subscribers and the number of positive reviews. So every positive review that you give me helps spread the word about this show. Go to thelavaflow.com/iTunes today to give me a rating and a review. And for the second show in a row, I have a new donor. Erica has pledged $5 per episode using Patreon. Thank you so much, Erica. Thanks to you, I am now at $87 per episode, and I only need an additional $13 per episode to bring you more weekly content. I was asked by a friend and a donor to the show this weekend if I were ready to give you guys more content, and my answer was yes, I am. It'll mean a few less hours on the couch every month, but that's why I wanted to make it financially beneficial to do that. At $100 per episode, it is becoming financially beneficial to me. Since I'm still only going to be charging for the main podcast episodes of the Lava Flow, that will be $200 per month most months, and $300 on the rare months where the dates make it work out where there are 3 episodes. That's awesome, and I can't thank Erica and all of my donors enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you, like Erica, want more of the Lava Flow and to keep this show ad-free, exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per-episode donation of as little as $1 an episode using Federal Reserve notes through Patreon or Bitcoin through Coinbase. There are monthly costs associated with doing this show, and I need additional equipment to continue making the show better for you guys every single episode. Thanks to everybody who contributes to this show. Until next time, keep striking the root.
Thank you for listening to The Lava Flow at thelavaflow.com. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now at thelavaflow.com/subscribe. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.